Hi there everybody. This afternoon I'd just like to go over or at least illustrate the use of a preset. A preset is a way to reuse a particular animation that you might wish to reuse over and over again. And what I'd like to do is create one here for you now. So I'm going to have a couple of bits of type on my screen. And one important thing when you're using this preset is we're going to, whenever we need to scale something up, and particularly in regards to type, you need to scale it with via its actual point size. You would be very much advised to change the scaling with your point size and not in terms of scaling it like you see I'm doing now with the transformation tools. So you very much definitely need to scale your type up and down with your character sliders. So I've just got my text on the screen, positioning as I'd like to. Okay, that's great. So I'm just going to turn off one of those decks of type at the moment, and I'm going to concentrate on one single strain of type, and that's going to be the word motion as you see it there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to attempt to scale this in, and I'm going to reposition my anchor point for both of these because that's going to look just fine for me. So I'm positioning my anchor point via the pan behind tool right in the middle of each of my text frames. So here we go. I'm going to attempt to scale this up, and I'm going to use this scaling tool, of course. So motion, S for scale. And the first, I'm just going to bring that forward a little bit. And the first thing I'm doing is I'm going to select my scale tool stopwatch to record this first keyframe. And I'm going to scale this down to 0. Okay, so it's 0%, almost invisible, in fact. I'm going to scale it up here, only a few frames. It's a very short interval here, a couple of frames or so. And I'm going to scale this up, not to 100%, but 120%. And you'll see why in a second. I'm going to advance my playhead just a frame or so, maybe 2 frames. And I'm going to scale it back down to 90%. And then I'm going to advance one more time, a frame or so forward, and I'm going to bring it up to 100%. And what it's going to do is going to give me this sort of bounce effect. Let me see that. That's the one. We've got this bounce going on. It's a very common thing you might often see in motion graphics. Okay, so that's really good. So I like that. What I'm going to do now is advance my playhead. So I've brought my motion graphics in, okay? And what I'm going to do now is select my keyframes, just like I've done there, and I am going to save this animation preset, okay? Just like so, save animation preset. And I'm going to call this small bounce. You can call it whatever you like. Small bounce in. Just like that. And it's going to save in my presets. Small bounce in for me. That'll do it. Okay. Now, to complete this illustration, I want to advance my playhead a little bit more. And I'm going to now create a bounce out effect. So right in time, before I go on, I'm going to record another keyframe which is identical to the final keyframe, so nothing much has changed. I've just recorded another keyframe. And what I'm going to do is bounce out. And the technique we're sort of using is overshoot. So we sort of bounce in with a bit of a overshoot. And so we're going to do the same in reverse here. So I'm at 100. I'm going to advance my playhead just a little bit. And I'm going to bounce up to 120. So a nice big bounce out. So it's going to shoot up to 120. Boom. And then we're going to go all the way back to 0. So it's going to have the effect of bouncing in and bouncing out. That's the one. So I'm going to record those keyframes, just like so, or at least select those keyframes. And I'm going to use my animation menu, and I'm going to save the animation preset. And I'm going to call it small bounce out, just like so. That will go into your user presets. I'm going to save that. Fantastic. Okay, so we've now created and saved some presets. The idea of this is that this is a reusable set of properties. So I'm going to now apply that to my graphics layer. So I'm going to have that graphics layer is active, and what I'm going to do now, with my layer selected, I'm going to drop down to my animation preset, and I'm going to apply an animation preset, the one that I've just saved. Okay, so that'll take me to small bounce in, which is what I'm looking for. So again, it looks to it's come off the screen. It's going to bounce and come in. Okay, very nice. So I'm going to advance my playhead a little bit here now, and I'm going to apply that preset, or the preset, the bounce out, through the next one. So animation, apply animation preset. Okay, so I made a small bounce in, and I'm almost going to use my small bounce out, just like that, the one we just created, and it's going to then bounce out. So let's watch them both together, see how we go. We might adjust some timing here. So motion graphics, like so, looking very good indeed. So we've got a preset going on there. Now we can reuse that over and over again. Okay, and just to illustrate that, I've prepared a little file here that we can see. So I've now got a little mini graphic on my screen. It's pretty ordinary looking graphic, I believe, but it's a series of shape layers. That's all it is. And there's a piece of text there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select them all, and I'll just make sure that a few things are aligned to the center of the content. It could look a little strange if I don't. I'm using my pan behind tool and just centering my anchor point in each of the elements. That looks pretty good. Most of those are okay. I'm not sure where that one's gone, but I have to go with that. Okay, so we're going to go and apply that preset to those layers. So, all right, so right at the very start, I'll come forward a little bit so we can see it. So having them all selected, I'm going to animation, apply an animation preset. So I'm looking for small bounce in. Okay, so they'll all pop up, looking good. And I'll let them sit on the screen for a second so we can enjoy that. And with my playhead where I wish to apply the preset, again, I'm going to do it to all my layers at the same time. And animation, apply the preset. Just like that. So we're looking for small bounce out. Okay. And then they'll overshoot off. So you can see these are very handy applying to text as well as graphics. So they are a very nice way to sort of save yourself a bit of time. Let's have a look at that again. So it's a nice reusable graphic, and it's a very good look. Okay, so I hope that's been helpful, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.